Hello and welcome to the Digital Juice Bar, the only podcast that willingly collects old defunct trading card games. I'm Hoodley.
And I'm KnightmareAlpha.
And yeah, it's been a while. We're so lazy. I don't know where that joke was going. I just thought I'd say it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, sorry that it's been a while, but we just difficulty trying to record on a schedule because stupid crap. And but yeah, we're back. Happy New Year. Happy new decade, depending on. I don't get when people say like new decades only start when the year ends with a 1. Like
I don't know that either. Just leave it. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
All right. Well, happy new year. Happy new decade. That's pretty much it. So what about you? How was your holiday? How was your holiday?
It was actually pretty okay. Nothing really bad this year happened, so that's good. I also wasn't annoyed by my grandma this year so much. Usually, I have to deal with her stuff like grabbing all of the stuff from her cabinet, and this cabinet drives me crazy. And this year was just fine.
All right.
But on top of that, my uncle was more often to visit, so I think he has dealt with that more than I had.
All right. So that I don't really have anything else to ask. I did have this one thing that I wanted to say real quickly. There's going to be a change up in the format because of this. Not like it really matters. But until like further notice, unless we have like a guest that could probably get a fair amount of questions, we're not going to be doing the Q&A segments because let's face it, I kind of hate begging for questions every single week.
And also, people always forget about it, and we're coming later, and then we're like, oh, there were so many questions, or this takes eternities. No, we're doing dedicated Q&A episodes later down the line.
Yeah, I guess. But speaking of guests, guess who's going to be coming to the bar next time? Probably. I hope. His schedule, holds out so that he can still record with us. But guess who's coming to the bar?
I know it already, so you don't have to ask me.
Say it.
It's the Dreamcast guy.
Yep.
He's a big one.
Yeah.
Ironically, I could have met the guy beforehand on another podcast, HPMP podcast. We had him once targeted as a guest, but then he jumped out and didn't notify us. So happens. Life is complicated.
Yeah. Especially when you make so many videos.
He makes a lot of videos.
Not that we'd know.
He records a lot of videos, that's true. Sometimes also not necessarily the great way, but he's riding the algorithm and wants to hit it good. So yeah, you have to do this constant retention thing.
Yeah. But anyway, he's going to be on here next week, so that or not next week, but next time. So that'll be fun. That'll be interesting. But what have you been up to since the last? What have you been up to recently? Like just doing stuff. Man, I'm sorry if I seem low energy, but we've been trying to record this for like over an hour.
The technical difficulties are a great thing. What makes us
whatever. We're just gonna. All right.
That sounded a bit
I'm not going to complain about that anymore. What have you been up to recently? What have you been enjoying?
A lot of D&D in real life. It's a fun experience. I'm a cosmic space bear.
That sounds
like something, I guess.
I didn't know they had those in D&D.
You can have everything. You can play as whatever you want, as long as the game master is fine with it. If you ever wanted to play a gelatinous cube, sure, go for it. Not a big deal. Can be a fun experience. That's really the good part about it. It's customizable. How did it went?
I played like a dark elf cleric or something like that. I don't entirely remember. It was a few years ago. I had one session, and my mom basically said that I couldn't play anymore because one of our characters died, and I actually was just so tired and exhausted from the event that I actually got so mad I flipped off the DM.
Oof.
Like it was all good fun. Like I wasn't being serious, but she just walked in and it was like, "Oh no, you are not playing that anymore. No, you're not doing that anymore." Just like so, I haven't played D&D since, and I don't have anyone to play with anyway, so I don't really mind.
I see. One day I'm going to show you something very funny about that.
And you know what stinks?
What?
I was the only healer. No one else in the party was playing a healer.
That's usually a thing that happens. People expect a dedicated healer.
Yeah, and I played the healer in anything that I have the option because I know no one else will pick it. One second, I have to let my dog in.
Okay. Well, people, it's doggo time. Here on the Digital Juice Bar. Now, with doggo time.
I'm back.
Great. But yeah, that's the pain. That's the pain of being a healer.
What have been some of the adventures of Nightmare, the cosmic space bear?
The space bear hadn't much experience yet, so there's not really much to talk about there. But I had so many other weird experience over years. So, I mean, there's always fun things. Like that one time, there accidentally punched an orc into oblivion. Like he just on impact disintegrated. I was like, what the hell?
Omae wa mo shindeiru.
I kind of like that, but just with a difference that my character was terrified. What had I done?
German? What would you are already dead be in German?
Du bist schon tot.
It still sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, you just have to put it in the right sentence, otherwise it doesn't really work. It's not a relatively natural sense with not much flow. You have to place it correctly to make it sound cool. But I think that's the whole use of a phrase in general.
Yeah. So D&D.
Yep.
Doing anything else?
I've played a lot of games that I had been laying around. I tried this, I tried that. I get a little bit antagonistic with weird Trails of Cold Steel fan base. Like a friend of mine got me some money, and I bought the first game, and I'm like 12 hours in, and I'm incredibly underwhelmed, and I'm like, what is everybody seeing? I posted a little bit of that on Twitter, and a lot of people got angry about that because, fanboys can't distance themselves from the things they love and always take it personally, blah, 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 the whole spiel.
Mm-hmm. I've never played the games. They're on my list just because I like JRPGs. I like playing as many as I can find, no matter the quality.
I mean, I wouldn't call it bad.
I mean, I'm not going to finish a game that's terrible, but I'll play it.
Again, I wouldn't call it bad, just very underwhelming. Like the mechanics
it was
are
hyped up too much to you.
Way too much, but also because I have very different expectations. People didn't tell me what they meant by what they liked. Like a lot of people tell me, "Oh, this game has great world building," and I'm like, what does this even mean from your perspective? Because I'm used to the world building of Shadowrun, where I can basically pick a specific item from a different developer, from a different company, and can tell you exactly what it is used, what its market value is, what the people think about it. Like world building to the absolute littlest detail. And I don't know, this game just doesn't do that, and it's like, because nobody told me what their expectations were, because they didn't want to spoil me, as if I give a crap about spoiling. Actually, I don't have a problem with that. I like being spoiled because then I know what to expect. But because, people don't want to spoil me, they didn't tell me, so I couldn't actually, lower my expectations according to what it is. And now I'm sitting here and having a pretty terrible time technically because, this is not up to the standards I expected. Failure of communication, I would call this. But, that's what a lot of people have problems with.
I have the same issue with when I played Ocarina of Time.
Oh, okay.
It's like everyone is like, it's the greatest game of all time, and nothing is ever better than it, and anything you say against it that's negative is absolutely totally wrong because it's by Nintendo, it is Zelda, it is objectively the greatest game of all time. And I'm like, this is really boring. I kind of hate this.
I can understand.
You guys need to grow up and realize that no, this isn't all that great. It's a big empty field, and people are just telling you to go to a place, and then you go there, and you talk to a person, and then you go through some really not super memorable dungeons, and then you just, that's it. That's the whole game. There's nothing interesting about it. And for the record, Mystical Ninja Goemon did that before Zelda. So it's like, no, you idiots. Nintendo wasn't the first to do everything. They weren't the first for save systems. They weren't the first with analog sticks or D-pads. They weren't the first to make a 3D action adventure with item-based puzzle solving. No, they didn't do that. And for that reason, I kind of hate Ocarina of Time, because everyone thinks it's the most amazing thing, and I'm just like, it's just kind of okay. And then I played Majora's Mask, and it's like, I love this. It is a complete exercise on the futility of existence and existentialism. I fix everyone's problems, and then I have to reset everything, because if I don't, they'll all die. And if I save the world, no one cares. I love that. It's so bleak and depressing.
In a sense, yes. But it also showcases that we can fix our problems if we actually do something about them and just not wallow in our pain all the time, Getting shit done.
Yeah. And then I like Wind Waker just because it's super charming and Link actually has a personality.
Yeah, I think this is.
And I like the art
makes
style.
these games great.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand the insane love for Ocarina of Time. I played this, and I think it's a decent game for what it's supposed to be, and with a typical technical limitations.
That's fine.
But I wouldn't necessarily call it the game. But for some, it really is the game, and I'm like, I don't know.
Probably because they played it when they were like 7.
I mean, that was. I mean, maybe it's the fact that I played was when I was like, I don't know, was I 14 or something like that? Could be. I don't know.
I played it like just a couple years ago, the 3DS remake.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a decent game. There's really nothing necessarily to complain about when you consider the technical limitations. But considering what you could do if you actually decide to limit the scope of the game and focus more on what you can tell a story with, it's kind of interesting. Majora's Mask is technically smaller, but I think it's denser and has more to offer.
And it actually has a kind of philosophy behind it, an idea that they wanted to express. And it actually has themes to work with beyond you good guy, go stop evil man.
I mean, from that perspective, I always considered Ocarina of Time nothing more than a 3D remake of A Link to the Past, to a degree, because that's really what it is and what it boils down to.
It is, and you really break it down.
And sure, it's an impressive game for that purpose, but I don't know. I think A Link to the Past did a lot of things slightly better and had just a bit better and had just more interesting dungeon design in some points. But it's like,
how do we get to having this conversation about the pros and cons of different Zelda games?
I don't know. You just asked.
All right, I expressed my disappointment and hatred for Ocarina of Time because fanboy twats keep hyping it up and saying it's the greatest thing ever, and I'm just like, no, it really isn't. You guys need to shut up.
Again, I wouldn't go so far. I just say have more informations in what you say about what you want. I mean, give the people a little bit better recommendations and tell them what is about. I think this is the problem that spoiler culture runs into. We don't want to spoil like every little detail so everybody can experience them. But if you don't give them examples, if you don't go a little bit into details without, spoiling the main major plot twists or something, you can actually tell the people what a thing is about. I mean, if I tell you Vikings is a realistic historical show about Vikings, and you have a better idea than when I'm just saying it's a show called Vikings and it's great, like that doesn't say anything,
I
right?
hate that.
That's really the problem that I have. They're so essentially focused on the personal experience that I forget to actually tell you why something is good.
Man, I hate that. That's what I try to never do. I never try to say watch something because I think it's good. I always try and be like, watch this because I think it's good for these reasons. And if you don't want to watch it because you're not interested in any of the things I listed, that's fine. Go watch something else. That's totally cool.
I mean, there's some stories that I say I wouldn't spoil them, but I don't necessarily have to talk about that. For example, I like the movie Hot Fuzz. It's a real good movie about a cop who's so good that his superiors don't like him, send him in the woods, and he has to deal with that. And this explodes into the final act, into a massive action scene that you don't really see coming, so to speak. It has a really good
watch Hot Fuzz.
It has incredible tension building, and what it does at the end with its ideology is just, I love it. I find it fantastic. I think you should watch it.
We need to get back on track.
I know. I also have to watch this movie again.
All right, so that's what you've been up to lately, D&D and Trails of Cold Steel.
Yeah, to a degree, I think so. And right. That and a lot of BattleTech, but I don't want to get into that right about now.
All right.
And you?
Oh, well, thank you for asking for once. So thank you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thanks for asking, really. So most of the things I've been doing lately, I started watching the original Yu-Gi-Oh! On Netflix recently. And, just because it's there, I really like Yu-Gi-Oh! I got back into it last year. And by the way, there is actually an archetype called Nightmare, like spelled how you spell it in your name.
What?
Yeah, there are
out of it, man.
There are these link monsters called nightmares, like Nightmare.
Oh yeah,
Cerberus.
I know these. They're actually pretty powerful cards.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like link monsters to begin with, but works.
All right. Well, we'll save the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game thing for another episode, but for now,
that's a good idea.
I've been binge watching the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Season, and you know what? I kind of hate Duelist Kingdom.
We all do. It's really not great.
There are no rules. Like, it's just, I summon the Dark Magician to the field, and it's just like...
Why, Dan Green? Why?
You're broken. If you can summon any monster without any sacrifice, why not just load your deck with the most powerful cards? That's what Kaiba does, and that's probably why he's a total prick. I'm not kidding. Like, Kaiba's just kind of a douche.
He is. He absolutely is. That's why we love him.
And yeah, but at least he gets, like, kind of humanized. He gets character later on.
Yeah, I think he's very much worked over. I think, especially with the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, he really gets kind of going what his ideology is and where he wants to take it. And I find it interesting. I don't agree with him, but I find it at least interesting.
Yeah, he's a neat character, which you can't say about a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. And also, I thought the whole like power of friendship thing was something that was more, in the later series, like Zexal and stuff like that.
Yeah, that pushed it really.
But
heavy.
no, Everything Taya says has to do with friendship, and I'm just like, will you shut up, please?
But you know
Will
what's
you
the worst
please
part?
stop talking? I don't care about the power of friendship. Just let me watch the card games.
But you know what's the worst part about this? Fairy Tale gives Tia Gardner a run for her money on friendship speeches.
Well, yeah, because Fairy Tale is basically friendship power incarnate.
It's a little bit
Overdrive.
ridiculous on that, and it makes on some certain levels no sense at all. But okay.
But anyway, I watched the first Yu-Gi-Oh series. I
Did you
hate
watch
Duelist
season
Kingdom now.
0?
It has some cool duels in there. I really like Yugi versus Joey, Yugi versus Pegasus. That was a pretty good one. But the thing is, those are only really good in like the context around them. Like you want to see Yugi versus Joey because it's a tense match between best friends who each have to win for their own reasons, and that's cool. But the card game itself, I don't know. There's just something so unsatisfying about seeing them play when the rules are more like a tabletop RPG with cards. I don't know. And also, like, there are just some things they do that are just flat out wrong. Like, someone uses Call of the Haunted as a continually reviving magic card, and I'm just like, that's not how Call of the Haunted works, and it doesn't turn things into zombies. Why? Why? Why are you doing this, animators? We can see it's a trap card.
Well, that only shows us one essential thing. Bandit Keith likes to cheat in America.
In America.
Oh man, this reminds me of the weirdest thing with Bandit Keith. There's this PlayStation game called Duelist of the Roses.
That's PS2.
Yeah, that's a PS2 game. And
that game's freaking weird.
That game is really weird.
Make a video sometime about all the weird Yu-Gi-Oh games.
That's a good idea. The weirdest part about this game, though, is is Bandit Keith's character in there, because there's no America in that, so he wears a Union Jack on his head. What makes even less sense?
That's great.
It's like, what is wonderful. This? What would he say?
Well, I mean, you have to remember one of the houses is being led by Atem, who's the spirit of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh playing a card game.
I mean, that's
the whole franchise is ridiculous.
And they say Hamlet was crazy. Anyway, do you plan on watching season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh?
I don't think that's on Netflix.
Sad.
I mean, maybe I'll check if it's on Crunchyroll or something like that. But I think
it's possible to find it. It's not a big deal, but you should definitely check it out. And a little bit of the early manga, because
I read the manga.
Oh yeah,
it is so weirdly not like the anime.
Yeah, but I like that. This is really interesting.
I know. Like it's weirdly also more aimed at teenagers, and the card game is barely relevant. But then it's like Duelist came along and is like, oh, okay, it's just about the. But then, the anime technically started at Duelist Kingdom. Going back, I kind of hate it just because it lacks structure to such a ridiculous degree, and the rules make no sense. And then Battle City comes along and is like, this is so much better. I like this a lot more. Please keep doing this. And then, like halfway through that, do they do that weird filler arc where they go into the virtual world and meet Kaiba's brother, sort of? That was weird. And then they never bring it up again.
Yeah, because it is just a filler.
It's kind of funny. They go through all of this, and then they go through all that, and then they just never talk about it. And then they just continue with the tournament like, okay, Mokuba, now that that's all done, we're never bringing this up again. Now, let's continue with the Battle City tournament so I can get Yugi and Merrick's Egyptian god cards.
Because that's what's important to a multi-billionaire.
You ever wonder why he was at their school? Like, he's a multi-billion He's like a multi-billion-dollar company CEO, and he's at like a basic high school, which you think would be like a really cheap place to go to if Joey is able to attend.
Yes.
It's just like, why are you there? Why are you there in the first place, Kaiba? You should be in like.
I mean, it should be noted.
You should have graduated college by this point. If you're so smart, you can make like giant hologram fields for the sake of a card game. You're the CEO of a company. What are you doing at a basic high school? What the heck?
I mean, one
the
thing.
first season is so weird.
I know. But one thing is important to note. Most Japanese schools are private schools, so it's not that he's like, going to a necessarily bad place. But
Yeah,
on top
I know,
of that,
but Joey's there. He's an idiot. You think Kaiba would get into a better, like just a better school?
I don't know.
Not to bash Joey, but he's stupid.
I don't know. Maybe he checked out the school register and was like, "The ladies here are the hottest. Let's go there."
I don't think he cares unless they have Egyptian god cards
or dragons.
Give me your blue eyes white dragon.
Oh god!
The first episode alone is ridiculous. I really want to make like a retrospective of just like the entire anime series. But anyway,
sure.
I watched the first season. Kind of hate going back to it, but it's got some cool matchups, and it is. I don't want to say nostalgic because I don't really have nostalgia for anything except Ape Escape 3. But I watched it and it's like, okay, yeah, I remember when I thought this was cool. I was really stupid. But then Battle City comes along and it's like, okay, this is a lot better. This is actually really cool. People are dying for a card game. Joey gets struck by lightning. People are essentially getting their souls trapped in hell by ancient Egyptian magic channeled through a card game. I'm all for this. This is interesting. And then they did that weird filler arc where they go to the virtual world and Taya duels a penguin. That was weird. And then I'm at season like 4. I really don't want to watch it.
Nobody wants. It's
the
so
one
bad.
with like the dragons and the seal of Orichalcos, and it's just like the thing that I immediately hate about the first episode of season 4 is that they say the power of like the card game didn't originate in Egypt. It's in Atlantis, and I'm just like, that kind of removes a lot of the importance of Atem being the pharaoh, because he was like the original master of this card game. He was the wielder of the god cards, and it's like, no, actually, like 5 millennia earlier, the Atlanteans played this card game, and I'm like, that's stupid. I will still accept ancient Egyptian magic being able to put the souls of pharaohs into shiny puzzle necklace pendant things so that they can take over the bodies of Japanese high schoolers to play a card game. But Atlantis, no. Just no.
I know. It has a few good moments. It's not, I'm not gonna lie, season 4 has a few good moments. It's just that it's drowned out by a lot of nonsense. Like,
yeah, if you think about it, I think it was the first one to introduce like archetype decks, because I remember one of them having the Guardians, and his whole thing was that you couldn't have monsters in your grave.
Yeah, the problem is just that archetypes weren't really functionally a thing at that, and the best 2 Guardian cards, or better be only 2 good Guardian cards, were released like years afterwards, so it's not.
I actually
really
have like
helpful.
2 copies of Guardian Iatos. Or no, wait, I think I just have the one. It's kind of cool.
It's a pretty good card, at least. I mean, definitely far better than the rest of the archetype.
Yeah. But, it's just like, I'm glad I'm watching it again because, I like going back to things I liked when I was a kid and realizing I had really crap taste and I was just a stupid kid. And sometimes I go back to other things like Hikaru no Go, The Prince of Tennis, One Piece, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I'm like, okay, I can see why I like this. I really like this. This is good. I like this is a good thing that I like. I'm glad I spent a lot of my childhood watching it. You ever watch the Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No, I didn't. I think I should do that probably.
No one's seen that movie. It's freaking great, and I love Wes Anderson movies. But anyway, that's the main thing that I was doing recently,
Okay.
watching Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's a habit.
And realizing that a lot of the first series is not that good. But a lot of it is still pretty good. I remember GX pretty fondly. Like that was
Yeah, it's still pretty good. It gets a little bit confusing in the middle part, but it's pretty good.
yeah. I need to like cancel my Netflix subscription and then use that money for Crunchyroll to watch the rest of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. I remember 5Ds being freaking awesome. Like that was surprisingly serious.
It had its issues.
I mean, the main character was a fugitive who escaped from a slum with a motorcycle he apparently made out of scrap metal. And then they're like battling giant spirits carved into the ground by Aztecs or something. That series was surprisingly really good, if I remember correctly. I can't wait to watch that again.
You will see there will some problems. There was some
I mean,
real-world drama.
Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of dumb.
That's true, but there was some real-world drama behind it.
Good. And then Zexal came along, and it's the reason why I haven't gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh until last year. I hated it that much. I actually dropped a hobby I've had since I was like 4.
I seriously can't understand it. This is, as far as I feel like, the worst Yu-Gi-Oh series I have ever seen. Like,
and then I watched a few clips of Arc 5 or Arc V or whatever you want to call it, and I'm like, okay, I like this guy. He's neat. And then Pendulum Summoning came along, and with Vrains, I think it was called Vrains. It kind of stopped being good.
I don't know. I have not watched Reigns at all. I just was like,
apparently it's not bad. I haven't seen it. Really should.
Well, you're going through this apparently, so you're gonna see sooner or later, probably later.
I'm not looking forward to rewatching Zexal.
Nobody does, but if you need a buddy to look through with you, I'm here, because boy oh boy do I wanna face.
I'm not gonna subject you to that. Instead, what I'm gonna do is talk about what we liked in 2019 in terms of media and stuff. So yeah, that's what we're doing for this episode. We are gonna shut up about things we're talking about. How long did we talk?
Too long.
I don't know.
Not important. Numbers are
too
just
long.
That.
Too long. Too long. Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Sorry, Daft Punk.
It's okay. We come on. It's Daft Punk. We all need that in our life.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna talk about our favorite things from 2019. I'm probably gonna cut out a lot of the ramble stuff that we did earlier. But anyway, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna give this a bit of structure. First things first, we're gonna talk about some of our favorite shows and movies first, or let's just take turns talking about things we liked in no just particular order. If you have something you like that came out in 2019, just talk about it, and that's going to be it. So you can go first.
Okay.
What's something you really liked in 2019 that you would like to talk about?
I think it was the first thing in the year that I was really excited about. It was Devil May Cry 5 coming out finally after all that years.
Ooh,
that was I think it was good, but I think it's not as.
I played the demo. I didn't get the game. I just played the demo.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, the demo was pretty good, but I want to say something what is a little bit controversial. I think Devil May Cry 5 is not as good as 4 or 3. it's still a really good game.
I
But
mean,
I
to be
think
fair, it's really hard to top 3 and 4.
that's really true. But I think the problem that I have is that it's kind of retreading old ground at this point to a large degree. Like basically it's Devil May Cry 3 all over again, just with a little bit of a few adages here and there. And I like the callbacks. I like what they reference. I mean, come on, every Devil May Cry game that references the light novels is on my favorite list. Like, come on,
Is Dante still kind of a snarky douche?
he is.
That's awesome.
It actually causes a little bit of an emotional trouble between him and Nero because Dante
Who
is
is Nero
Dante.
again? I can't
Uh,
remember.
the main character of Devil May Cry 4, the guy with
Yeah,
the
but like, isn't he
arm.
someone's kid?
That's technically a spoiler for the game, but if you don't care for it,
Do you really think anyone cares about the story of Devil May Cry?
some do, but nah. He is supposed to be and confirmed to be Virgil's son, and
That's
this is
it?
actually, and that's what the fifth game is technically about. Nero learns this. Dante already kind of knows it, and Virgil also learns about it because he wasn't apparently really aware of that. So
Wow, worst dad ever.
yeah, but
Well,
that's
I'm
the kind
sure
of
we could probably find some worse fictional dads, but whatever.
that's true. But considering that Virgil's character boils down to the old adage of power, I need more power. It's kind of
And then
clear that he
Dante's
needs it.
just like, is this the price to pay?
Yeah, that's kind of what
For
Dante
power?
is. It's
He's
like
just kind of he's a douche.
he is, but
I like him.
he's a good-hearted douche. Devil May Cry always wanted to tell us something about the human nature, because one thing that the series continuously comes back to is the fact that humans have a heart, that humans care for each other, something that demons could never do, and that this is what gives humanity strength, and this is what gives Dante and more or less his allies a real reason why they are succeeding, because they have this heart, they have this human edge to them that the demons will never have, because they continuously fight because that's what they do, while humans have a reason to survive because they want to live with each other, they want to share. This is inherently what the ideology behind the game is. The Dark Knight Sparta saw something in humanity that he wanted to protect, and that's the result of it.
Wait, if a demon saw that, then that kind of makes all of what you just said kind of disingenuous.
Not necessarily. The problem with the demons is not that they couldn't learn this. I mean, we saw this with Trish and with Spotter himself.
All right, that's fine then.
But
then you got Dante like shooting a pool cue, or not a pool cue, but a pool ball, a billiard, which smacks into a bunch of other billiards. And then he's like smacking demons around while eating pizza, and he's just like, "This party's getting crazy."
Yeah,
and it's just like I kind of have a hard time taking you seriously if you talk about Devil May Cry.
You should also understand that this is the youngest incarnation of Dante, and that he hasn't really fully internalized this yet.
I mean, at least he's not like DMC 2.
That's the real hard edge, Dante. But actually, even in the chronology of the games, it still makes sense, because this is more the beginning of the middle-aged Dante, where he's like, I need to protect humanity. This kind of phase, and he's taking everything a little bit too seriously because he wants to be the hard edge protector. And then we have the Devil May Cry 4 variant of him, where he's entering a little bit of a midlife crisis, and he's more like his childish self previously. That's kind of how this works, and it's consistent.
I think that version works best.
Yeah, I think so too, because that's really what it's going. Because
what would be cool?
What?
If Capcom remade the first Devil May Cry with the engine for DMC5.
That would be pretty good.
They do it all the time with Resi.
Yeah, they do that. I think this is actually something they should put on the list. Yeah, that's something they should do. But that's not going to happen all that soon because the Devil May Cry collection has been, I think, this week released on Switch. So I think they're not going to do
Yeah, but
that
it
for a
sucks.
while. So, but still,
It'd be neat.
yeah,
It'd be neat to see.
yeah, I think so. But yeah, but in general, I think Devil May Cry 5, good game, could have been slightly better. But I think in general, it's definitely a return to form. And if Capcom keeps this up instead of letting us, sit there for 10 years or more on a real sequel, we could actually have something. But I know one thing that is important. We kind of need to leave Dante and Virgil at the door because their story is over, more or less.
All right, that's fair.
Because yeah, that's really what Capcom also wanted to do. Like Devil May Cry 4 was supposed to be the passing of a torch. They always wanted to go there, but they never really got the time to do so. And now after that time frame, they need a refresher. So they're playing it a little bit safe, appealing to the fans, and then maybe go all out next time, And that's totally fine. They can still come back as characters in the background or as playable characters. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think they really need to let go of this because their story is definitely now told functionally. If they want to do something new with them, then they need to do something with the familiar bonds, like that they now have.
You know what they should do? You know what they should do with Dante?
What?
When they remake Resident Evil 3, they should include Dante as a playable character. And he just goes around shooting things with ebony and ivory and cutting things with his sword and just makes the game super easy. That'd be cool. I'd like that. That'd be really, or maybe they should use the Samanosuke from Onimusha. I think his name was Samanosuke.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they should do that. They should include some wacky characters from their other series. That'd be neat.
I mean, for fun, right? It's not a bad idea in general. But yeah, that's really all I can say about Devil May Cry 5. I still have to go back to the game, I think, but as of now, I'm pretty fine with it.
All right.
So, now it's your turn.
All right. Well, one thing that I really wanted to talk about, because I couldn't because I started watching it after our last episode, and that was a while ago. And I figured I might as well save it for here. The Netflix series, The Naked Director.
Okay.
Because I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, this series is really good. Like, holy crap, this is a really good series. I wish more people were talking about it, but no one is. So now I want to talk about it. So yay.
Well, you have your platform. Use it.
All right. So The Naked Director is a kind of, I want to say it's like a biopic drama sort of comedy thing. I'm not entirely sure. I think the best thing I could use to describe it is a biopic series about this guy named, crap, what was his name? Like I had his name in my head and I need to look it up. I need to look up his name real quickly. I'm sorry. Naked Director.
Look it up on your computer.
Okay. So the Naked Director, or in Japanese, Zenra Kantoku, I'm pretty sure I said that right, is according to the internet, it is a semi-biographical comedy drama web television series, very specific there. Based on the nonfiction novel Zenra Kantoku Muranishi. That's it. The guy's name is Muranishi Toru. And it is sort of a biopic series about this guy, Muranishi, who's basically considered to be the Japanese god of porn. Okay. And I find that fascinating. Like, for some reason, I just find, like, the history of, like, the porn industry and just generally, like, adult entertainment to be very fascinating more than the actual stuff they make. Like, I would rather watch a biography about a porn star and their life and their career than any of the movies they're in. I don't know. I'm just weird like that. But the fastest way I can describe it is basically borrowing a description from some review I read online. It's basically Breaking Bad, but with Japanese porn. And the thing is, it's incredibly fascinating because it is pretty much just based on real life events. Muranishi was a salaryman who sold English like textbooks or dictionaries or something like that, and he gets really good at it. And then one day he comes home to find his wife cheating on him, like she's right in the middle of having sex, and it's just like, oh, dude. And then she's just like, you've never satisfied me. And then it's just like, he just like gets really, and then he goes to a bar to drink. He finds this guy named Toshi, and together they team up to, pursue careers in the adult entertainment industry. Like they suddenly they become like the heads of a chain of dirty bookstores that just sell a whole bunch of magazines. And then they start getting in trouble with the law when they decide to start making uncensored magazines, which might not sound like much, but you have to remember it's 1980s Japan. They still have censorship stuff for a lot of things. So selling uncensored magazines is crazy. And I think they were selling them for like the equivalent, I think, was like $300, so like 30,000 yen or something. And I'm just like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. Wow.
But there is a demand for this, very clearly.
A lot of money. That's impressive. And it was so fascinating to watch him build his company up, doing these things that really pushed the envelope for what was allowed at the time. And of course, he gets in trouble with the law because, police officers and really big, dirty movie companies. Like I guess the main antagonist of sorts would be the head of, I'm pretty sure it was called Poseidon Pictures or something like that, because, it's like the early 1980s or something like that. And, a lot of the series is him as a very just small auteur. He's just a small auteur, just making these movies because he finds something fascinating about it. I really like how, since it is based on his life and the kind of autobiography nonfiction novel thingy about him, his philosophy was that sex and porn, they're very human.
Yeah,
like the people in it, they have to have passion and drive, and yeah, it's lust, and it might be something purely physical, but it is something that can showcase how a person really is and show what they're really like. And in a way, he finds that very human and engaging. And I just think that's fascinating. And that's also why he hates Poseidon Pictures, because they're very heavily censored. They clearly don't do anything really that interesting. So he was all about pushing the envelope. We're gonna let our actors have real sex on camera. We're gonna do less censorship. We're gonna do everything we can to show how these people really are in the context of ridiculous porn movies made on an incredibly tiny budget by a staff of like 4 people. It's really interesting to see. And I really like that kind of philosophy. I should mention, like, before I go any further, there are a lot of boobs in this series.
I mean, you would expect
a ton of boobs. What?
I mean, you would expect that, it's
yeah, but like, it's a lot of boobs. A ridiculous amount of boobs. I think you see boobs within like a minute of the first episode.
Well, I mean, you don't need to sell me on this.
It's a really, really fascinating series just because, as a person, when you actually look at the things he did, they are crazy. And you think why we haven't gotten a series about him sooner, because he just did all sorts of crazy things. He's made so many movies. One time he went to Hawaii and filmed like 70 movies in like 70 days. I don't entirely remember. A few episodes are about him going to Hawaii and filming a spy thriller porn in a plane with American actors, and it's just like, this actually happened? I looked it up. It did happen. So that was interesting.
See, I learned a few things about the porn industry. Mostly that certain genres that you don't see much movies in there anymore are usually just moved to the porn industry for some reasons. Like, there are not many people who, for example, make still real spy thrillers, like James Bond
I mean, we got
anymore.
James Bond.
Yeah, but he's like the most example of this, and the rest is like always these. It lacks a certain kind of camp, and it's all this kind of 9/11 stuff nowadays with the real hardcore things and stuff like that, and Liam Neeson being really hardcore, and saying hardcore when you talk about porn.
He did do some pretty crazy stuff.
That's true, but the point is that this kind of spy thriller stuff nowadays is more found in porn as parody stuff, and I'm like kind of fascinated by this. Like, you would believe what gets porn parodies these days. Like,
it's just interesting stuff to see.
Yeah, it's generally an interesting industry, and
this is why we hang out. This is why I like recording this stuff with you, because we both like knowing weird facts about the porn industry that no one really cares about but us.
Yeah, but this is really the biggest thing about the Japanese porn industry is that to this day they have to pretend that they pretend to have sex for the law because it's technically illegal to do so. Otherwise.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that Muranishi, tried to do, because I remember this one time, the first time that it's depicted in the show where he told the actors to have, actual sex, is that the episode before, or like a few episodes ago, before he actually filmed that, there was actually a really nice scene. One night he's just drinking at a restaurant or something. There was no one else in there, so he invited the owner, this lovely woman, to drink her a few drinks. They go to her room, and she's just very lonely. Her husband passed away some time ago. She has a little shrine dedicated to him, because, this is what you do in Japan. He used to sell bento at the train station, and she still had his uniform. And she was just such a lonely person. And then, they have sex. But instead of just being something that Muranishi just does, instead of just doing it, she asked him to stand up and walk around, because that's how she and her husband used to do it. And then he puts on his hat and starts yelling that he has bento for sale. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually a really touching scene, because it's just like, oh my gosh, she's so lonely, and he's doing everything to just make it seem like her husband is back just for this one little bit. And it's just like, that is so touching, and I like seeing that kind of thing, because, in a lot of Western media, or at least American media, sex is often depicted as something purely physical. It's something that, you can do for an easy joke, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're just like, you want to have sex, and you're like, yeah. And then they just jump cut them in bed naked, and it's just like, okay. But then in a show like this, it's just like they depict it as something that's very personal and very intimate, and it's just really interesting to see, and I love that. And then a few episodes later, he has one of his employees, because the main actor walked out, he tells one of his employees and the actress they got to actually have sex and basically recreate that scene. And it's hilarious, because they start doing it, and they walk out of the apartment where they're filming and they continue doing it on a dirt path near a river. And someone was walking past them. Like, it's a ridiculous scene, but they just keep going, and they just keep going down the dirt road while these two are filming these two standing up, having sex, and just running down the dirt road. And it's just like, it's a hilarious scene. The tone does kind of shift pretty jarringly at points, but like the acting is really good. It's a really interesting story. I think it has really great pacing. Like the first 2 episodes alone probably could have been enough material to make like a whole 12 episode season of this show, but no, it was just the first like 2 episodes, and then they just like they go along and just like, okay, you're just gonna keep going. It's a very fast paced show, and it's just full of great performances. Man, that show is good. I can't wait for season 2, but I also kind of don't want season 2 because it's based on history. Nightmare?
I'm still here. I'm just I
Okay,
don't
sorry.
know what to say, you know, like what do I say? Why? And it's based on history. What's so bad about that?
Because the thing is, Toru Muranishi, his success, he rose to success and like fame and all that, mainly by producing movies by one very specific porn actress. And you know, his that heyday only lasted for a couple years before it kind of crashed in on him. And then he kept making movies, but like he went from like being able to afford a really big house with like anything he could possibly want to like apparently he could only afford like a small apartment, but he kept making movies. And I'm just like, I'd love to see that, especially with how season 1 ended, but I'm just like, it's based on history. I know what's going to happen. It'd be interesting to see, but just like, I don't know. I'd like it, but at the same time, I already know how it's going to turn out, so I don't know how to feel about that. That's a really weird feeling for me. But yeah, The Naked Director, something I really loved from 2019. It's funny. It's really well acted. It's a really interesting story. That's it. What about you? What's something else you liked from 2019?
Ooh. I have to say I didn't do much in 2019 what is related to 2019. I'm usually a little bit behind because I have so much things to do. I mean, I already talked massively about what I thought about Shira season, 3 and 4. Wow, 2 seasons in a year. That's something you don't see.
Well, I mean, you only really talked about like the main premise last time. I don't think you ever actually like went in depth about season 4. So go ahead, talk about seasons 3 and 4.
I mean, it's a little bit hard to do actually, because in this case, it's like it's very transitional. Especially season 4 is incredibly transitional. We're wanting to move from one status quo to another status quo and still affect massive changes, because it's just that's really, really hard to do effectively without any context, because this is a show that's really dependent on its context, on its specifics, so what I would have to do is basically tell you the whole thing of 4 seasons. That's a bit much, isn't it?
Maybe.
That's
all right.
the reason.
Well, why not just talk about some of the things that you experienced in 2019? They don't necessarily need to have come out in the year, because if you don't have enough stuff to talk about from last year, why not just talk about stuff that you experienced in that year?
Okay.
Because I do not want this to just be about me talking about the Naked Director.
I mean, that has its
Good
own
show,
charm.
just...
I think more people should talk about it. Nobody has talked about this so far as I hear. I have not heard anything about it beforehand. So I'm actually surprised that there's such a piece out there, and I'm going to watch it, of course, because that sounds really up my alley. But
what, the Naked Director?
Yeah, that sounds really like my thing. I could enjoy this even beyond the booby appeal. But in general, this year I experienced a few real interesting games. Like it's still not fully out yet. It's still on early access, but I enjoyed Griftlands a lot. That's an interesting game.
Griftlands?
Yeah, Griftlands.
That's a neat little art style right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's by Clay, the guys that made Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah.
Cool.
They did a lot of other things this year, like, for example, the full release of Oxygen Not Included is now live. That's also interesting.
That's cool.
But yeah, I enjoyed Griftlands a lot because it's an interesting take on how to approach combat. The game itself is technically a card role-playing game where you have 2 decks. One is for combat.
You immediately have my attention.
This works like this. You have 2 decks. You have one deck for combat and one deck for social interactions. And you play as a grifter, what is basically a bounty hunter / mercenary that does stuff over the course of a story. You come back to this place and you want to have your revenge with a certain kind of guy. And you have to build up to that by making jobs, acting on behalf on some people, playing your cards right. And you have to engage these people in multiple types of combat, either physical combat, where it's really like you punch for people, you slice them, and then you have to do also social combat, where you basically put up arguments to get certain things out. Like if you, for example, want higher payment for a job, you have to convince a person to do so, and you do that with a deck of social cards. And both of that have multiple different strategies that you can focus on, and they work well together. Like, for example, you can build an intimidation deck for your social set and use threaten, intimidate, and build up combos with that. And it uses a specific kind of ring system where you have to build offensive and defensive. And it's really interesting if you play it right, because you can create your full deck, but you also have to take into account that all of the cards you put in your deck have certain kind of usages. There's some cards that you get back when you have used up all cards and reshuffle them. That's how you get the main thing. Then you have cards that you expend over the course of one turn, that you expend, that when you use them, they are not reshuffled into the deck, but you still keep them. And then there are cards that you trash, that you use them and you have a certain amount of uses of them, and then then they're gone. And these are real powerful cards, but they have a limited use, and you have to balance this. That's really how this operates. And the same goes for the physical combat, where you have to build up your decks with strategies. Do you want to go for a high power assault idea, or do you want to build up bleed damage, or do you want to have a reposit defense strategy? And you can do that all, and you can place cards, and you can replace cards, sell cards, buy cards. But because it's a roguelike in a sense, your deck will always be different with just a few starting cards. And the longer you play, the more cards you unlock that get added to the card pool that you can find. And that's really what makes this game interesting. It's not fully developed yet. They're still working on certain things, balancing things out, but it's a real enjoyable game already. And I have sunk a lot of time in, that I can highly recommend. It's not that expensive. The only problem is that it's, as of now, only available on the Epic Game Store and will only come this year to Steam. So, yeah. It's in space.
That sounds pretty awesome. Honestly, that sounds like right up my alley.
Well, I think you.
I just wish that it. I don't have an Epic Store account, and I don't know. I might get one for that game because that sounds incredibly interesting. Because I like card games. I like RPGs. I like unique things. I like Clay Entertainment's other games. Or at least I really like Mark of the Ninja. So it'd probably be pretty well animated. That sounds really fascinating. I I hope it comes to like consoles or something like that.
It's possible, but
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
bet on it. It's like I think the only game that Clay has ever put on a console was Mark of a Ninja.
I'll check real quick.
Because I don't remember any of the other games coming to consoles.
N plus, Shank 2, Mark of the Ninja, Don't Starve, Eats Munchies. Oh wait, no, I was on mobile. Invisible Ink, Don't Starve Together, Oxygen not included. Okay, that's actually not on consoles. Most of their stuff is on consoles.
Okay, so maybe I just have
Also,
never
I
seen.
didn't know that they made Don't Starve.
Oh yeah, they did that. They
I
did
thought that
that.
was someone else. But yeah, that's
No, you
on
can see
consoles.
that. You can see that on the art style. They have a very specific kind of art style that they use.
I don't know. I feel like Mark of the Ninja is pretty different than
That's true. That's
Don't
true.
Starve.
But Don't Starve and Oxygen not included have a very similar art style to each other. So you can see that.
All right, so that's something you really liked from 2019, and you're also looking forward to in 2020.
Yeah, because I like the continued development. It always adds something. They have regular updates, so why not enjoy this? I hope the new characters get added and the story gets expanded, and I want to see where this is going.
All right, that does sound pretty awesome. I'll have to check out some videos of it when it comes out. So yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
Highly recommended. So, what do you have for me?
All right, well, I got a few things, but since I probably have too many things, and we've probably been at this for a while. I spent a lot of time talking about the Naked Director. I'm just going to speed through some of the games that I played from 2019, and hopefully I'll remember all of them.
Okay.
All right, so Katana Zero, I was
Mhm.
really looking forward to that. It's like really unbelievably, heartbreakingly well animated side-on Hotline Miami, where you play as a guy with a sword who can slow down time. It's really challenging. It's gotten some updates. I'm still waiting for that last door in the secret room to be unlocked, but it's exhilarating. It's really well designed. It's fun. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it other than it's really hard, but it's also a lot of fun. I was looking forward to it. I thought it was pretty great. So yeah, Katana Zero, Devolver's just I'll probably like anything they put out. What else was there? Oh, there was also Astral Chain. I got that for Christmas. The main reason I wanted it is because when I saw the reveal trailer, I was just like, okay, so it's Psychopaths, but you get to be a stand user. I love you, Platinum. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. Give me now, please. And they actually did. They announced it last year. It came out last year. I got it. And I also found out that the character designs were done by why am I drawing a blank? It's not Masaaki Yuasa. That's some guy. Masakazu Katsura. That's the guy. AKA the guy who makes like the best romance series you can possibly find in the shonen demographic. He also made Zetman and did the character designs for Tiger and Bunny.
Okay.
Which apparently, according to a Japanese poll, is the best anime ever. So
Okay, that's
interesting. I watched Tiger and Bunny. I thought it was good. I didn't really love it, but it was pretty good. But I like the art style. I like the aesthetic. I think the whole thing where you're a police officer with this like otherworldly kind of psychic power thing. That's totally a stand. Let's be honest. It's a stand.
Everything
it's
is
a
a
JoJo
stand.
reference.
Everything is a mother-loving JoJo reference.
Yada yada yada. But it's a neat combat system. I like the art style. I think it has a really neat, if very cheesy soundtrack. I just kind of don't like the structure of it. Like, I don't know, I was thinking about making a big video about it because, I'm going to try and make more. Actually, no, I'm not going to try. I will make videos this year that are longer and more in-depth. That I was thinking about making one on Astral Chain, but then I was just like, I don't know, maybe I will. But for now, I'll just say this. I think it needed to be less like Nier Automata and be more like Bayonetta. Because in all honesty, the story that it tells isn't that interesting. Like, it's just kind of blah. It's not bad. It's just kind of boring, and there's not really anything particularly interesting about it. But the thing is, whenever you start a new chapter, you're in like these little hub areas, and you can like pick up short side quests and missions and stuff like that. And whenever they put me in like the town square thing, like the city square or whatever with all the shopping centers, I always go around and pick up all the cans and throw them in the trash because I feel compelled to do that. And you get experience points for that. And I just kept having this feeling like, why do I need to do this? Why am I in a little hub area doing that? Why am I bothering to pick these up? Like, I want to do more of the combat. I want to... Actually, no, that's basically all I want to do, because the combat's actually not that bad. I actually really like it. It's a neat little system. You use the shoulder buttons to attack, but the thing is, one of them lets you attack, and another one is for your stand to attack, and you can swap between 5 different ones. You got a sword one, which is just like kind of an all-around thing. You have a bow and arrow for long range. You have armor, which you can wear and then do a rapid punch thing, and I'm just like, that is totally JoJo.
It is.
I feel like I should be yelling every single time I do that, and I do that all the time because it's a freaking JoJo reference.
It is.
That's what the armor legion is. It's a stand. It's freaking, and you got the doggo. That's just actually called the beast thing. I think it's like speed. You get to ride it, which is kind of neat. And then you also have the... Actually, I don't think I've unlocked the 5th yet. I think it's like a glaive or something like that. I'm not sure what it's supposed to do, but like you can swap between them on the fly. Each one has like a special power. Each one has something that it can do in the overworld. You can use the chain to wrap up enemies. And overall, it's a really neat system. I like it. I get really confused on the dodge mechanic just because, like, it's one of the face buttons and I'm too busy. It's just, like, I do think they laid it out well, but it's just, like, I don't know. Dodging feels kind of weird sometimes when I'm all kerfuffled and stuff like that. But I think it's a neat system. I just wish they focused more on the actual combat rather than these little hub areas. Like, maybe they were trying to conserve their budget or something, so instead of, like, giving us a linear story where each chapter has a different area, they put us in the same areas and just, like, added little mini quests to do if you want. But the thing is, I don't really think the game needed them. I mean, I haven't finished it, but like for for what I have played so far, it honestly does feel like the hub areas just I don't need them. I don't think the game needs little hub areas. I don't think they need the little missions. Like, I'm supposed to be like a special forces officer because I'm the only one who can use the stands. I'm the only stand user they have. So why am I just going around getting people ice cream, helping kids find their parents, and picking up cans? Why am I doing that? Like, call me in when you actually have something that only I can take care of. Like, that would make more sense. I'd be fine with that. Because, when I actually do get to get into the fights, they're fun. I like them. I like them a lot. I just really don't think the hub areas need to. And whenever I start a new chapter or get to a hub area for those missions, I'm just like, I kind of lose interest. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah, I can get this feeling. I had this a few times. Like, I remember when I was playing Tales of Berseria, I was like 6 hours into the game, and then it just gave me a new city, and I was like, nah, I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't wanna. This is really what I had. I was like, oh no, I had to talk to all of these people again. I have to upgrade my system. Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Too much. Laid it down. Forgot that it was there. Deinstalled it. I have to come back to it.
But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's just like, why do I need to do all these side quests for a slightly higher rate of grade at the end of the chapter? I don't care. What does that matter? Like,
I think this is
why
kind
not
of a
just
problem.
do what Bayonetta did? Why not be like? Why not have the structure of Bayonetta where I just go from? Dang it, my monitor just kind of stopped because I'm not doing anything. Why not be more like Bayonetta with a more serious tone? Which would be basically anything, because Bayonetta is freaking ridiculous. But why not do that? Why not just let me go from place to place, fight the monsters and the bosses, and just that's it? Why not just let me do that? I think the game would be a lot better if those hub areas just weren't there. If I didn't have to do all the police stuff, and I just got to be the police officer doing all the crazy fight things. I'd be fine with that. I think it'd be better that way. But what I've played so far, it's still good. I just think that the pacing, man, that structure, I don't think the structure really exemplifies what the game is good at. So it is good. It has fun combat. It's got some nice ideas. I like the art style. The soundtrack is really corny, but even then, I feel like it focuses too much on trying to build the world and the characters, when the characters just aren't that complicated. And I don't know. I just feel like it focused too much on the things that it shouldn't have put so much focus on. But that might just be me. I'm not sure. Good game though. I like it. I like it so far.
So how corny is the soundtrack? How many rubies do we talk about here?
You ever? I'm not entirely sure how to describe it.
See, I like to measure corny soundtrack as in measures of how many rubies is that? Because Ruby has one of the most corniest soundtracks I've ever seen in my life. Like,
oh, Ruby.
Yeah, like
that's
like the most corniest of soundtracks I have ever seen.
I hate the way that thing is spelled, by the way. It's like Ruby. that's not Ruby. That's
I know. You have to let it go. I know. Poor literacy is cool, apparently. Spelled Kewl.
Rest in peace, Mozzie I miss you.
He was a nice boy, but that's not the point. The point is how corny is it?
Yeah, the corniest soundtrack is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
I don't think that's necessarily corny. Too corny. I mean, that's pretty corny, but at least it's like, I don't know. It has some interesting things going on.
Really know. Look, you ever see an anime that's like trying way too hard to be cool? So they have like this crazy J-rock sound, like crazy J-rock opening, and it's just like you can tell it's trying way too hard to be cool.
Yeah. I know that.
It's like that.
Oh
Okay, I
man.
guess if I have to put it on a Ruby scale, I'd say it's maybe um 8.6 out of 10 on the Ruby scale of
Ooh,
corniness.
that's pretty high. That's pretty
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
That's pretty high. Well,
And most of it just comes from like the opening song.
I know. I know this. This is just sometimes happening. And when you really try hard, you really, really, really try hard, and you end up with this.
That's the weird thing about Astral Chain. It tries so hard in some areas where it didn't need to, and as a result, I feel like it didn't try hard enough where it was really good and could have just been a little bit better. That's the weird thing.
Maybe we get a sequel sooner or later, and then something, and they improve upon it. Who knows?
I'd like that because
Yep.
I saw a report where it was like the director of the game was like, "Oh, wow, it actually sold that much. That's awesome." And I was like, "That's nice. I'm glad people bought it because it is a good game. It's a unique game with a fun, interesting combat system that I haven't seen before. So I appreciate it. I just think that it does have some structural issues and the story is not really that interesting. It's a pretty standard kind of thing. Police story and stuff like that. But in the future, apparently, sort of, like, it does have some interesting stuff in there, but I just feel like I would much rather spend the time I spend in cutscenes in the combat. Like, I would have appreciated that. But, for what it is, it's good. And I've talked about those two things. Do you have anything else from 2019 you want to talk about real quickly? Because we should probably be wrapping up soon.
I know. I shortly think about it. Haven't watched much movies this year, I think. I want to watch a lot of movies, but I don't know.
What are some movies you want to watch?
This year I'm going to watch all the new Star Wars movies. That's going to be a thing. I haven't watched any of the new Star Wars movies since, the prequel trilogy ended, and I was like, this time I'm waiting a bit, see how it goes, wait for the DVD releases. And I think this was a good idea because I remember what kind of Flame Wars The Last Jedi caused. That was not fun, like, at all.
The last new Star Wars movie I watched was The Force Awakens.
Okay.
And when I watched it, I realized I don't actually like Star Wars.
Hey, that's okay. It's not for everybody. I know a lot of people don't like Star Wars, but that's totally fine.
I like purple lightsabers because lightsabers are just cool things. And that's it.
Hey, I like Star Wars for the intrinsic hilarity that is the Emperor.
Do it.
Do it. It's just insane.
Do it.
It's like, what if evil would be incarnated as a person and enjoying himself? I think that's
it's kind of funny.
It
you rarely see villains being happy. But he's just like the king of space. And he's just yeah, this is awesome.
Why not?
It's weird.
It's kind of interesting. They did a good casting because the fact is he still has the same actor, even through the prequel trilogies like he had in when he was first introduced. And back in the day, he was actually a pretty young dude, a little bit too young for his actual apparent age that they wanted to go with. I kind of aged in that role, and he fits so perfectly. It's like, that's like real.
Wait,
real
did he come back?
What?
Did the Emperor come back?
No, not this one. I meant for the prequel trilogy from the original
No,
trilogy
I
to the
meant in the new movies. Like, did he come back?
I think they talked about it. I don't. I think it's something in there. They wanted to bring him back, like even was it a clone or a Force ghost or something like that? I don't know. I don't really care.
Well, that's just stupid.
I mean, it's not the.
That's incredibly stupid if they actually did any of those, and if they just brought him back, that would make the ending to that third movie just completely like pointless.
It wouldn't be the
Like,
first time they did.
I don't even like Star Wars, and that would make me kind of upset because like the original 2 movies are great, the third one's good. It had a neat little ending where Anakin sacrificed himself to save his kid and destroy the Empire in a very radical way. But it's just like if he just comes back, screw you, Disney.
To be honest, this
Screw
happened.
you anyway, Disney.
To be honest, this
Monopolistic
happened
douchebags.
before in the extended universe already. Like they brought him back as a clone already.
Yeah, but you also have to remember the extended universe had Terrace Kasai and people and like force immune lizard aliens who used snakes as weapons.
I know.
Expanded universe is dumb.
I know.
Right, so aside from Star Wars, what else do you want to watch?
What else?
I hope Uncut Gems is on that list.
Uncut Gems. I don't know. I'm putting it on. I put it on, but why not? The list is.
It's made by the Safdie brothers. They made Good Time, and I think that movie is really, really great. And also, Adam Sandler is nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. So,
oh yeah, I remember. I wanted to watch this. Yeah, I remember somebody said that that this was a movie that genuinely made him care for Adam Sandler in a movie again. What is weird because nobody cares about Adam Sandler in movies. So. But yeah, I put it on there. No, this year is the year of Conan, I decided. I'm going to watch a lot of Conan stuff. You know, the Barbarian?
Uh-huh.
It's because I discovered that there was apparently a live action 90s TV show of Conan.
I'll look it up.
Oh,
Conan TV show.
Oh boy.
Oh wait, that's just Conan. Let me try that again. Barbarian.
I have watched.
Yeah, that looks like the 90s.
That looks like the 90s. I think it wanted to slip into that Hercules kind of Xena thing going on that they wanted to go there. That was pretty popular at the time. I'm not sure. It sounds terrible. And that's usually a good sign because that gives me something to laugh about because I like when they do this. Like, I really like these kind of bad shows. They're enjoyable in their own right because they're bad. I read that they have like a silent dude who can't speak other than sign language and a dwarf. And I'm like, what is the dwarf doing? That sounds interesting. I want to know what the dwarf is doing. Because I learned when the dwarf signals you, you should follow him. Oh, that's a reference that nobody will ever get.
I certainly didn't get it.
That's okay. Maybe I show it to you one day. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of Conan that I want to go through. I also want to watch the latest Conan movie they did with Jason Momoa. That kind of flopped. I still haven't watched this.
I mean, at least Jason Momoa sounds like good casting.
Yeah, I mean, typically I think he is very well made for these kind of characters. He doesn't have to play much of a character, you know, in that he can be a little bit more slimmer on the character, and that's kind of good because this gives him a little bit of a mysterious charm. He's a nice person. I think he's a good actor for what he's supposed to do. I mean, if you want to have the big muscular dude who's kind of cool, yeah, I would go for Jason Momoa.
What if The Rock was cast as Conan?
I think that doesn't work. I mean, The Rock
couldn't. It might. You never know.
But The Rock couldn't make Hercules work. So I don't know. He could barely make the Scorpion King work. Oh god, that terrible
Yeah,
CGI.
but he makes The Rock work. And that's enough.
I mean, yes, but that's a little bit different. I don't think The Rock is very good for this. I also don't think that you could do that with Vin Diesel. He's just too small for that role.
And also, he doesn't really do much. He's just kind of like the guy who's there.
I didn't know they actually. Here's the thing about Vin Diesel. I didn't know that there was a third Riddick movie. I have to watch the third Riddick movie.
What was it called? Like Pitch Black?
No, there was Pitch Black. There was Riddick. The
Chronicles of Riddick.
The Chronicles of Riddick was there, and then there was another one.
And then
I
Riddick.
think that was just Riddick. I think it's called, and I think the German tagline was something like "His survival is revenge," or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know.
That makes no sense.
I think The Chronicles of Riddick is a hilariously great, stupid movie. Like,
I heard Pitch Black was actually unironically good.
Oh yeah, it was good, but The Chronicles of Riddick is great on a different level. It's very exotic. It presents a very lived-in world that you're probably never going to understand. It has these weird references, these moldings of science fiction and fantasies, with necromongers driving around trying to kill off the galaxy, and of course, the greatest line I have ever seen in a movie: "You keep what you kill."
Okay.
It makes sense. You should go watch it.
Nah. I'm not really someone who likes watching bad movies for ironic entertainment.
I wouldn't even call it bad. I think it's actually hard to grasp to call it really a bad movie. I think it's a very stylish movie. It's not supposed to be 100% taken seriously, but it has an interesting. It's hard to describe actually why this is good. I think, but I think if you want to have a little bit more a over the top version of a person, like that's what you get there. You get. I'm rambling. I don't know. I think I'm losing a little bit my grip on it. I
mean, that's what we usually do on this.
Yeah, but in this case, I think just watch it. It's not that long. It runs on TV actually often. I watch it on TV sometimes.
All right. So, any other things you want to watch?
I don't know. I really don't know as of now. There's so many things I have to do. So I'll see what comes next.
Have you seen The Lighthouse?
No, I haven't, but I should probably. A lot of people talk good about it, so
yeah.
I'll put it on the list.
All right.
Was there? Do we actually like Marvel movies at this point anymore?
I don't.
Because I kind of gave up on them mostly. I think there are some that have been praised and that are decently good, but I don't know. The last movie I watched of the Marvel movies was Black Panther, and I think it was pretty good. I liked it, but I'm not sure if I can recommend it necessarily. I don't know. Marvel movies, they're a thing we have to deal with apparently, like up to 4 times a year now.
Yeah. And they're not gonna end anytime soon, because Disney.
It's kind of exhausting at this point. Like, I mean, I have no problems keeping up with comics if I want to, but I don't know. These things are so big and sometimes so empty. Like, ugh. I'm glad they finally got rid of Iron Man, at least. Iron Man is not a good character in these movies. Not at all.
All right. I wouldn't know.
See, I think the last time he was good was in Iron Man 3, and that
we're not talking about the Marvel movies.
Okay.
So
anyway,
that's your list of things from 2019 that you still have to watch.
I think so. That's definitely what I have to do. And after that, we'll see. There will be a lot of things in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you have on your list? What's for you up to do?
A lot of things, but I mainly just had one more game that I wanted to talk about,
Okay, let's go.
and then we're probably over. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about for 2019 is Judgment, the new game that's technically a spinoff, not really a spinoff of Yakuza or Yakuza.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. It's really good. Like, that's just it. I think it's a really good movie. The weird thing about the Yakuza team is that they are so ridiculously consistent, and they keep making some of the best open world games, but they're so small. And that's probably why they're so good. They don't need a crap ton of resources, but they still make a lot of really entertaining stuff. And Judgment, I don't think it's the best one they've made. I'm not entirely sure how I would rank it, like, in the overall Yakuza series, because let's face it, it's pretty much a Yakuza game, like Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise, or Paradise Lost, whichever one it is. I think it's Lost Paradise. Then again, I haven't played every Yakuza game, so I'm still working on that. But Judgment is super fun. It's not as funny or insane as the Yakuza games, but it's a lot darker. Well, not darker, but it's a lot more intriguing and mysterious because, you're trying to solve a murder mystery. That's really interesting. It's got like governmental corruption and stuff, and you're investigating things, and you still have a bunch of different mini games. You can go around and solve other people's problems through, just being a private detective. I like Yagami as a character. I don't think he's quite as endearing as Kiryu, but that's kind of difficult because Kiryu is like that one bizarre kind of anomaly of video game characters because he showed very little personality.
Yep.
But he was still probably one of the most fleshed out characters I've ever seen just from what he did. And he was always so serious. Because of that, he made everything around him more funny.
Yeah.
Or funnier. And I don't really get that with Yagami, but I still think he's a really neat character. Because, he used to be a lawyer. Now he's a private detective because a guy he proved innocent murdered someone. And now he's trying to solve the mysteries of his past that connect to a current string of homicides where people get their eyes gouged out. And he does it while kicking people's butts with kung fu.
Ah.
And it's got like drone races, it's got all sorts of fun characters to me. I really liked the quests going after the pervert trio because they are ridiculous. There was one guy who stole panties with a drone, so that was weird. There was one guy called, well, I can't actually, screw it, I have the squeaky duck sound effect. There was one guy called Ass Ketchum, and his whole thing is that he felt up girls' butts and then told them what sport they should play based on it.
I mean, that's an interesting premise.
Fun. And then there was a guy who spied on people having sex at a love hotel and then judged whether they were guilty or innocent of something. I don't know. And he crawled around the walls like a cockroach, and I had to shoot him down with my drone, and it was just like, that was a hilarious string of quests. That was hilarious.
That's a bit surreal, but okay.
It's Yakuza. The main character of like 7, 8 games. No, wait, it is 7 because the actual Yakuza 7 stars someone else. But Kiryu was the Dragon of Dojima. He was this super crazy kick butt guy who could basically make anyone run in terror, but no one ever did because they thought they could fight him. And he put on mascot costumes and raced RC cars in a very gung-ho manner. This series is weird. And Judgment, I don't think it's the best Yakuza game. And, if I actually go through and, play all the Yakuza games, because I really do want to. They're really fun. I'm not sure where Judgment would rank, and I'm really looking forward to Yakuza 7. And I'm also really looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima Tsushima. I think that's how you pronounce it, because the T in front of it, because Tsu, not Tsu. I don't know. It's just where was I? Oh yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it would stack up against the rest of the Yakuza games, because it is a Yakuza game. Let's face it, it is. But the combat is still really fun, visceral, and crunchy. That's what the combat is in these games. It's crunchy. That's just what the combat's like. Like, I could jump off a wall and then suplex a guy into the ground, and it's just like, that feels good, but also that sounds like it really hurts.
Of course,
my favorite,
but okay.
My favorite move to do is the taunt. How it works is that I just taunt the guy, and when they come to attack, I can just tap the triangle button, and he just like, bring it on, dude, and then I just like smack him in the face. That's hilarious. I can pick up traffic cones and just smash someone's face in. I can hit someone in the face with a bike and then smash them on them like a professional wrestler. But that's a lot of those things you can do in a lot of Yakuza games. But like Judgment, it is a Yakuza game, whether it's in the title or not. Just like the recent Fist of the North Star game is a Yakuza game, and you can play as Kiryu in it. I think I have to check on that, but it's cool. And Judgment is just such a fun game. I can spend hours just walking around Kamurocho. I just had a lot of fun with it. I'm still having fun with it, and for that, it's my favorite game that came out this year, at least that I played, which isn't saying much because I can't play very many games when they come out because money.
Yeah.
But yeah, Judgment, that game is awesome. I still want to play Indivisible.
So
Judgment, it's great.
So can we expect the list of ranking Yakuza games next year, like 2011?
2011 was 9 years ago.
2021.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't think you can do this year. But I think that's not possible.
Yeah, I have enough projects to do this year. I got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime retrospective. I got some standalone anime think pieces I'm working on. I would say I'm working on a review of Beyond the Beyond, but that game
I think
sucks.
You should take a break from that.
That game sucks so much. I don't want to play it. I'm going to review Suikoden and Okage Shadow King and Short Piece. I got a lot of projects to work on this year. And I'm also going to start covering the Atelier games because I really like those. So maybe sometime I will do like ranking the Yakuza games because there's like 10? There's 0 through 7, and then there's
also some that we didn't get.
Fist of the North Star.
There's also some we didn't get. Like there are 2 that are sad.
I know there's like Ishin and stuff like that.
So there's a lot.
I mean mainline ones. Yeah. But then again, Judgment wouldn't count, and neither would Fist of the North Star. I don't know. Maybe sometime. But Judgment, I love that game. It's awesome.
Great. I also have some projects for the year. Seems only that a lot of people.
What have you got lined up for the year? What can we possibly, definitely expect from you in the year 2020? The year of the Critical Role, the year of perfect vision, the year where hopefully
hindsight.
We fix some stuff.
The year of hindsight. Planned as of now is a video called "How to Kill a Gundam." That's up next, where I discuss how you would possibly try to destroy a Gundam. Apparently, there isn't much interest on the topic yet because they all want to see it succeed. But I always like to play my inner Batman and try to kill the Justice League. So,
with your absurd amounts of money.
I don't have absurd amount of
That's
money,
his
and I'm not
superpower.
Batman. I know
Superman.
that's Batman's superpower, but yes, Superman has
Superman's like,
this.
I can fly. I have super strength and a bunch of other superpowers. I'm awesome. And then Wonder Woman comes in and is like, she's just like super strong. He's just like, and then Batman's just like, I have money.
Well, it's kind of funny considering that puts him basically on the same level as Lex Luthor. So
And Scrooge McDuck.
And Scrooge McDuck. I think Scrooge
Except
McDuck is more entertaining.
But anyway, projects.
That's definitely on the list. There's also an old video concept that I finally want to go on, where I talk about the problem with roaming and random encounters in JRPGs, and want to introduce a little bit of an interesting power move to the setup that I find interesting, because I have a problem with games not valuing my time with endless amount of nonsense combat, and I want to talk about that. So that's coming up. Not sure when, but that's definitely on the list. Yeah, I also wanna talk about the problem that we talked a lot today about the Trails fans not knowing what to tell the people to recommend their games. But before that, I have to
I feel
play
like
their
that's
games
more
fully.
general advice.
That's also more general advice, but I wanted to use this as a jumping off point, because I have a very direct experience with them, and I maybe want to tell them why they actually like something, and maybe not go on about this too much. Don't be afraid of spoilers sometimes. That's what I want to go. And other than that, I'm not really sure. I want to let some things get to me. There's also this massive project that I have that I want to talk about. All the topics and themes in Persona 4, what is going to be a massive thing, because I want to talk about all the topics. What does it mean? Because I know a lot of people have problems putting that into words, because what Persona 4 talks about is very sociological in many ways, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with that effectively. Because it's really easy to describe Persona 3. It's like, what happened if a Japanese got hold of a book of Nietzsche? That's basically what it is.
Okay, those all sound pretty cool.
Yeah, but that will take a very long time, because I'm not going to replay the games, because that would be a bad idea. I'm going to watch other people and ask them if I can borrow their footage, because I have no way of effectively capturing anything from a PS Vita or my PlayStation 2. Well, I have, but that's not really a possibility. And running the thing through an emulator isn't a good idea either.
Okay.
So that's the thing. And yeah, I don't know. Other things, I haven't planned that far ahead, but we'll see what comes up.
All right. Well, I guess we both got some stuff to do this year.
I think so. And we're coming back. And next year, we're
going to try and be at least somewhat consistent.
We'll get there. We'll get that.
Well, we've been talking for long enough. Got any final words for the people at home or in the car, wherever they are listening to this?
Drive on the right side of the road and use a seat buckle.
All right, that'll do. Bye.
Bye.